This module is all about ensuring your user stories are of the highest quality. In the last module, you learned about the invest mnemonic. You used the invest mnemonic to outline the criteria that user stories should meet. In this lesson, we will be expanding on some other criteria that you should keep in mind when writing your user stories. First, let's quickly review what the invest mnemonic stood for. I stands for independent. N stands for negotiable. V stands for valuable. E stands for estimatable. S stands for small. And T stands for testable. High-quality user stories will help to keep development on track and avoid mistakes and confusion. For example, user stories should be defined in such a way that they are small and simple to understand, provide value, and can be clearly tested as being done. There are several other criteria that requirements in general, and your user stories in particular, should meet in order to ensure quality. You want your user stories to also be correct, complete, clear, consistent, feasible, and traceable. We are going to go through each of these and talk about why it's important that your user stories meet these criteria. We'll also revisit our restaurant example. You'll get to test your knowledge to see if you can determine whether certain user stories meet the criteria. So let's get started. First, we are going to talk about correct user stories. As you can imagine, having correct user stories is pretty important. If the user stories are wrong, your development team is going to spend time developing a feature that isn't what the client intended. So it's important that you review the user stories carefully with your client to ensure that all the user stories are phrased correctly and are the correct ones to develop. For example, consider this user story. As a customer, I want to be able to make changes to the dishes I order after I've submitted the order to the kitchen so that I can customize their preparation to my liking. This is an incorrect requirement. From the scenario, the customer is able to make changes to the dish before placing the order, but there was never talk of allowing changes afterwards. Imagine that your development team created this incorrect user story. You demo it to your client and they are unsatisfied. They'll say something like, "This is going to be a nightmare for the kitchen staff." Your developers have then lost valuable development time that could have been used developing a correct feature. Recall what the client requested.
I apologize for being so vague. When I picture a customer interacting with the app, I envision that there should be one or more tablets at each table for customers to use for ordering. I see them browsing through images of the food. If they want to read more about a dish, they can tap on it, and if they want to order it, they'll push order. That should take them to another page where they can specify changes to the meal and any dietary restrictions they may have before sending the order to the kitchen. When there is more than one customer at a table, I want it to work like a shopping cart for an online shopping system. I want to have it so that each customer could select their own order as the tablet gets passed around the table. Or one person at the table could input everybody's order. Doesn't matter. All the orders on the same bill would have to be submitted from one tablet. The additional tablets would be there for people to browse the menu or place an order for a different bill. There should be no minimum or maximum order. When all the orders have been entered and customized, customers can then submit their order to the kitchen by tapping Submit Order.
Which of the following user stories are correct? A. As a customer, I want to browse the menu for the restaurant I'm in so that I can see what dishes and drinks they offer. B. As a customer, I want to be able to identify my dietary restrictions to the kitchen so that I can avoid certain ingredients in my dishes. C. As a customer, I want to be able to custom order a dish not on the menu so that I can have a unique food experience. Or D. As a customer, I want to be able to see nutritional information so that I can choose dishes that suit my diet. Based on what your client requested, only answers A and B correctly demonstrate the client's request. Therefore, they are the correct answers. Answer C is not correct because the customer should be able to make changes to existing dishes, but not custom order a dish. And answer D is not correct since this is not a feature your client mentioned.